About the impact of sexual harassment toward job satisfaction of employees at workplace. It is because we find out from previous literature review that Minister of Women, Family and Community Development said the Royal Malaysia Police (PDRM) statistics show that 961 female workers has been the victim of sexual harassment, with a total 1,218 cases of sexual harassment in 5 years. Next, our problem statement are: first, lack of knowledge. Employees have less understanding of sexual harassment and are still confused about the meaning and forms of actual behavior intended to be sexual harassment. Second, psychological effect. Sexual harassment has psychological effect on employees due to sexual harassment that affect job satisfaction. Third, reduced productivity of employees. Sexual harassment can cause a decreased productivity of employees and organization due to job satisfaction. Lack of knowledge. Most employees have problems in understanding the true meaning of sexual harassment, even though the sexual harassment they has experienced coincide the true definition of sexual harassment and is often misinterpreted as a joke. Some victims take action to silence the sexual harassment behavior because they still do not understand the true meaning of the behavior. Next, psychological effect. Sexual harassment affect employees by undermining their job satisfaction and increasing their psychological distress. It is because the effect of sexual harassment are not just at the time of the harassment. In fact, it has a profound effect such as depression and trauma for a long time. And last, reduce productivity. It means that sexual harassment negatively affect job satisfaction of employee at workplace. The productivity decreases, instead increasing the rate of sick leave and absenteeism among employees. Some of the employees also made the choice to quit their job due to stress and trauma.
Okay, now we move on the next part, which is objective for this study. There are 3 objectives for our research topic. First, identify the actual behavior of sexual harassment in the workplace. Second, identify the level of employee satisfaction in the workplace. Third, to identify the relationship between sexual harassment and employee satisfaction in the workplace. The first is to identify the actual behavior of sexual harassment in the workplace. In our observation, there are still many employees who are not clear and confused about the forms that are categorized as sexual harassment. Therefore, some victims do not make a report to the authorities. As for the perpetrators, they may think that the behavior is just a joke that does not have any specific meaning. So, we bring this objective as a matter to be studied and explored in more depth. So, we move to objective number 2, which is identifying the level of employee satisfaction in the workplace. From this objective, we try to measure the level of employee satisfaction if they have been victim of sexual harassment in the workplace. The US Merit System Protection Board in Tanwi et al. 1982 also shows that nearly 55% of victims of sexual harassment report the feeling of works being severe, and emotional and physical conditions are also affected. Next, for the third objective, to identify the relationship between sexual harassment and employee satisfaction in the workplace. A According to previous study, we can see how the relationship between sexual harassment and job satisfaction is very closely related. As stated by previous researcher that the frequency of a person experiencing sexual harassment in the workplace will affect productivity of the employee himself and ultimately affect job satisfaction. Now we move to the next part, which is research question. Research question are statement of research objective in the form of question. So here we have got 3 research questions on our title. First, what is sexual harassment in the workplace? Second, what is the level of job satisfaction for employees in the workplace? Third, what is the relationship between sexual harassment and job satisfaction in the workplace?
Okay, we move to the next part, which is the significance of the research. The significance of research for our study is to contribute to employee, organizations, and also to the other researchers. The research significance to who? We have 3. First, employee. Second, organization. And lastly, other researchers. We look to the first one, which is employee. Why this research significance to the employee? Okay, it's because this study can help them in the understanding the form of sexual harassment behavioral so that they can distinguish between the jokes and actual behavior of sexual harassment at workplace. In addition, it can also enhance the employee's knowledge of sexual harassment prevention methods in helping them to handle and protect themselves if sexual harassment happens to them. Okay, we look to the next part, which is the significance of the research to organization. Why this research important to organization? Is because this study can be as guide and reference by the management on the form of behavioral of sexual harassment at work. Besides, organization can identify what action should be taken as measure to safeguard the welfare and safety of employees in the organization so that workers' rights are protected. And lastly, the significance to the other researchers. This study important to them because it can be a sign reference for academic purpose beneficial and will be able to develop and use a reference material.
The topic we decided to choose is a quantitative methodology topic. To analyze data from subjects around the research topic, we do survey by giving questionnaire to measure the individual performance such as aptitude test, aptitudinal test, and others. This method is used to obtain information about this research. The researcher divided this questionnaire into 2 parts, that is Part A and Part B. Part A is about respondent information and Part B is the question about auditory. For the sampling technique, we will use convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is a non-probability sampling technique where samples are selected from the population only because they are conveniently available to the researcher. Researchers choose these samples because they are easy to recruit, and the researcher did not consider selecting a sample that represents the entire population. Data analysis is the most important method in completing an investigation. It is different than content analysis. This method is used to filter and determine the accuracy of data to achieve a valid conclusion. For this study, the research data will be analyzed based on specific analysis method aimed at obtaining adequate information. There will be three analyses. They are statistical, diagnostic, and prescriptive analysis. Statistical analysis is to show what happened by using past data in the form of dashboards, while diagnostic analysis is to show why did it happen by finding the cause from the insight found in statistical analysis. Lastly, prescriptive analysis. Prescriptive analysis is a combination of the insight from all previous analyses to determine which action to take in a current problem or decision.